everybody. So as you mentioned, we actually have a big German delegation in France Quantum this year. I'm very pleased to be here together with a number of researchers, industry players, startups, policymakers from Germany. And this is actually not coincidental. This takes place because between France and Germany, we are accelerating our cooperation on quantum technologies. This is one of the priorities that has been highlighted as a key priority as soon as the new German chancellor has been elected. It was 1 month ago, and this is a joint declaration from President Macron and Chancellor Friedrich Merz. But we are not going to speak about politics now. We can. We are going to speak about industry, and we would like to know here in France, what is the state of play regarding the adoption by German industry of quantum technologies? What can we learn from that, and how can we move forward as well between France, Germany, and overall in Europe for European sovereignty together with the industry players? So this is a question I will first address to you, Michael, because you are actually working with big industry players like the two people sitting on your right. What is your evaluation of the quantum use by German industry players?
Yeah, I mean, generally, I think the German industry is extremely interested in these topics and has been really early in looking into it. And of course, currently, the state of the adoption, if you want, is that most of the larger companies have teams of 2 to 3 people to monitor the market. Since currently, of course, quantum computing is still heavy on research. So, I mean, it's not yet really completely applied in industry, but I'd say the overall state in Germany is excellent. And of course, it was already mentioned before, a key industry that we believe has the right use cases is the pharma and chemistry industry. And it's a big industry in Germany. And it's also an industry which we, from HKS, particularly work with. So there is a big topic in this industry where you directly work on molecules and objects that are very microscopic, meaning they are very quantum mechanical in and by themselves. And this often makes a direct connection to things you can do or calculate or predict using a quantum computer. And in this area, German industry, I think, very well is doing a lot of things already on conventional computing at a very high level of sophistication. And I think in the future, this will translate really, really well to using quantum computers.
So, Michael, you got so much into the topic that you didn't even speak about HQS simulation. Maybe it would be good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk more about HQS. I mean, I kind of mentioned that HQS makes software for simulating molecules with a focus on spectroscopy and predicting properties of molecules for pharmaceuticals and chemistry and chemical reactions. And this is, of course, our connection to the chemical and pharmaceutical industry, where this kind of software is useful. And on the other side, this type of kind of properties are intrinsically quantum mechanical, connecting it very naturally to the quantum computer.
Thank you. Thomas, you are also working on pharmaceuticals, and you are working also with innovators, but on the side of a big industry player, Merck Healthcare. Can you please tell us a bit more about your interest on quantum and also your interest on quantum innovation?
Yeah, very good question. So with Merck, we are those guys who look at it since a long time, which means I think 12 years ago, we founded an interest group to look into what quantum works. We are now keen to see that IBM is moving forward into a direction where we could eventually make use of quantum hardware. And we were working actually with Michael and his team. They won a grant 4 years ago.
2019,
actually to explore what we can do in this material science. And then we quickly discovered what does not work, and therefore I think what I'm currently exploring as not the official voice of the pharma and healthcare industry, but the closer you are to the patient, the more value you bring. And therefore I think material science is, yes, very interesting, but I'm really looking at identifying use cases that are closer to the human. And do we find cases where we can make use of quantumness in describing what health is? So this sounds maybe esoteric, but this is what we're doing. And looking really to identify can we do quantum machine learning with not many data, but very high complex correlations, example using quantum reservoir computing, so this is what I'm currently diving in. On the other hand, we also have materials for quantum computing hardware industries as Merck, so we are providing, as we are always interested to, can we help the industry grow by giving them better isotopes for their NV centers or what have you. So I think this is also kind of interesting, and I think the chance and utiliser l'opportunité de remercier la France parce que le moteur européen, ça va être amitié franco-allemande. It's really important to stick together, Germany and France, and I think we discussed this earlier in the meeting that France is very good in hardware, Germany is very good in software, so I think we have a good game.
Thank you. Manfred, you are working for Deutsche Bahn. So what is your evaluation of the level of adoption by Deutsche Bahn of quantum technologies and interest in this area?
So we are working since 2000 with this quantum stuff. So we started with the optimization part, because what we have is a lot of assets. We have some trains, we have some tracks, we have some people, we have energy, everything needs to be optimized, and our expectation is that we will get this done with more computer power, quantum computer, HPC, neuromorphic, whatever. So we need computer power at the end. We are not counting qubits. No, we don't. And I'm coming from a software perspective. So what does it mean when these systems are available? So how do we have to change our traditional software development into quantum development? So it's another perspective we have to reach out in the future. And to answer your question, how far the industry in Europe, in Germany is at the moment, I think it's stagnating at the moment. The industry players are known. We have some groups in Germany, we know each other, we have some classroom meetings at the end, and it is not growing. This is one, let's say, one issue we have. We have 2.6 billion euros spent from the government over the last year. This will be done till end of 2026, then we have to look further where it goes. And what we need now, in my perspective, is software on one hand. We have one guy sitting here, and everybody's talking about hardware, but what I assume is we need more software and implementing these use cases, not only simulating, but on real quantum hardware. And so therefore we expect more focus on the software side. And good to hear that you say that Germany is good in software.
So question is, are we accelerating there? Do you have the feeling that Germany is accelerating? I mentioned we have a German delegation. This is a premiere at France Quantum. Are we accelerating in Germany? And also, what are the prospects regarding the French players that are sitting here, the European players, international players sitting here? How can they meet your needs? How can we further move forward with European and French-German cooperation?
Yeah, we had together one of the rounds on the conference here, and it was impressive that some of the German delegates didn't know this cloud provider over there, for example, although they had been last year in Germany at the Bitkom conference already. And I think it's important that we know each other, that we have these kind of conferences in Europe, and that we know who's doing what at the moment, and not implementing the next QUBO for the next optimization problem and trying to get some 100,000 euros for the next research project. But what we need, in my perspective, is we need to use the roadmap, a common roadmap in Europe for hardware and software for the full stack.
But you yourself, what are you expecting to meet as players here today, and how can they meet your needs?
What I have seen already, we have large enterprises here. Maybe I should move in the topic. We are looking for post-quantum crypto at the moment in a very deep dive. And I'm looking for consortial partners moving into PQC with us on a European level. So quantum computing, as I said, it's good to see what happens there, but the PQC stuff becomes more and more empowered from the European Commission. And so we had already some meetings with SNCF, for example, with the French friends from the railway, and with French energy organizations to get PQC done in the future. And when there is somebody interested to work with us on PQC, happy to hear from you.
Thank you. Manfred, Thomas, how is it for you in Merck? what are the needs that you are looking that could be met today?
We signed 3 deals. No, not just. I mean, what are we looking for? I think how it started is also with this Lab Quantique and all this, to have the freedom to come together, brainstorm, and then this was the big hackathon where we had Genzi and the ecosystem and the infrastructure providers to just come together, have students, some of them are still in the room, to explore and have the freedom to just play, because I'm reporting my normal life is something else. So I'm doing AI like everybody else, and AI governance, and then doing quantum on top is a bit hard to argument against the CFO, because why are we doing this? Where's the return on investment? I think there is a return in investment, because if you are not in, you are not in. And I think what we need, I think, is the just trust, friendship, collaboration, and independent, not just target concrete outcomes. Of course, it's always good to have milestones and pass milestones that get funding and publish papers and stuff. But I think the important thing is to keep the momentum, eventually get a bit of input from other industries, because I mentioned quantum reservoir computing, and there's a company A, B, C, D, E, F, and G are also working on this. I didn't know. And I think this is just the good to reinforcement to say, oh, let's talk. And I think exactly this let's talk at this moment in time is, from what we as an industry can provide, important, because everybody is looking for use cases. Do I have use cases? I have a lot of use cases. Do they make sense? I don't know. And therefore, I think it really is important to keep this discussion.
So entering into a dialogue and nurturing this dialogue further.
Yeah.
Michael, same question for you. What are your expectations coming here? How could we move forward with the French-German cooperation? And I would like to come back to the word acceleration. Do you also have the feeling, the 3 of you, because you partly answered the question, that we are accelerating, that your companies also are accelerating on the adoption of quantum and the co-design of quantum?
I think when it comes to acceleration, I would say currently the work on quantum computing is already at a very high level and has been funded really intensely in Germany. So I think we are at the level that we just have to keep going at the same level and keep going. I think this will also be really sufficient. And the thing that I find most important right now, and where I see the most opportunity to accelerate, is actually integration in high-performance computing and the cloud computing in general. Because the topics that you integrate into high-performance computing and the cloud will be exactly the same that you later want to send to the quantum computer, meaning things that need a lot of computational power that you want to send out, and you will also not have the quantum computer standing around, meaning you will have to use the same type of infrastructure, and so you can build it now today already out, which we also do in topics like all types of simulation topics, which are very naturally suited to kind of distribute broad types of calculations on thousands of computers, and then kind of collect your results back. And this is, you can do it now in the cloud, and you can do it in the future also on the quantum computer. And here also a very interesting topic for Europe, and then of course, because for Europe, also for collaboration between France and Germany, there is the huge issue that actually all big cloud providers are currently from the United States. And of course, I think as we look forward, there is a stronger and stronger feeling that this might need to change in the future. And I've seen already here, this was also actually, wasn't aware of that there is a big player here trying to create a cloud. So it's really good to meet these people. And I think this is the topic where also Europe as a whole, and then of course also in collaboration between Germany and France, it would be really interesting to see what can develop to kind of build platform solutions that are not all dominated by the United States.
Manfred, Thomas, I know that Europe is also a topic that you like. Do you want to add something on that before we move to speaking about the regional ecosystems?
I like what Micah said, software. Yeah, I like because software is eating the world at the end. So we need some handful of hardware computers, of quantum computers at the end. But with software, you have a scalable model. And when you look, for example, what the AWS is doing with the Bracket platform, it's an e-commerce platform for quantum computing. And this is what at the end what we need in Europe as well. So maybe. See some smiling faces here. Maybe we have to go in this direction together, not department per department or industry per industry, because I think the use case is always the same. We are doing it with trains, others are doing it with planes, and the optimization problem behind it is not so different. So when we look what we can do together, it's look more into the software and becoming more independent from the US providers, from the hyperscalers we have at the moment. Otherwise, we are in a vendor lock-in as we are already in cloud, in semiconductor, in Gen AI as well, I suppose.
I want to add something we currently, I think, have not discussed, which is the fact that we have one wonderful quantum computer and we have always classical data, which is a bit of useless. And therefore, I mean, we can, but in principle, we should use quantum data to use quantum machine for quantum data. This is what Feynman wanted to do. And I think what we have sensors, we have NV centers, we have magnetic centers, we have a lot of stuff. We can do even photonic, what have you. And specifically in healthcare, I think we can leap if we have a weak detection. We're currently working with electromagnetic, but we don't work with very weak magnetic fields. So why not? So eventually, because we just don't have the sensors. And I think if we would be able as an ecosystem going, what we currently are doing, HPC quantum, combining this, and just including the other guys, the data producers for quantum data, I think I'm opening a can of worms here, but this would really make sense to explore also in this direction. If we can generate quantum sensor and then work with quantum data, specifically in healthcare, this could make sense. I guess also for authentication or whatever security topics, this could also make sense. So this is how I think we could accelerate on top of what we also need to do. So just a proposal.
Thank you. We spoke about Europe. I would like now that we speak about another direction, which is regions. You represent Germany. Actually, you are based on various regions. In the delegation, German delegation, we have all over Germany covered. And we know that Germany has these very strong lenders, these very strong regions, which really push also these developments. I'm not sure you all agree, apparently. But anyway, so how can we reconcile this regional approach with the European approach? Is there something here that the rest of Europe can learn from? And I would like to start with you, Michael, because you are very much anchored into the regional hub of Baden-Württemberg.
Yes, so I mean, Baden-Württemberg is a very strong state in the quantum space, if you want. Has many kind of companies, also one of the longest, like earliest real quantum companies, if you want, with Trumpf, who builds lasers in the 50s, and lasers is one of the earliest, like really deep quantum technologies that was kind of pushed into the market. And we have a really nice organization in Baden-Württemberg called Quantum BW, and maybe also the answer how we reconcile, let's say, the regional with the kind of more global, if you want, or the European is, of course, we know that, you know, I mean, in Baden-Württemberg alone cannot do it. That's why I'm, for example, here as a delegate together with Quantum BW, who are organizing this trip here. And you can see it, there's a booth from Quantum BW, and this is like one of the things that they do and that we do, just together go to different events as a group from Baden-Württemberg. And maybe then I can also connect this with the sensor topic that Thomas mentioned. Baden-Württemberg is very strong in the field of quantum sensors. That might, you know, not directly connect to all the topics you heard about quantum computing. But for me, it's always really nice to meet all the people from the quantum sensor community as well. Because in the end, I feel the most important thing in this whole quantum technologies area is that something really starts to take off big. This will really create a better supply industry everywhere. and give us a better feeling where this technology will go. So if it's quantum sensors, which many people believe, that would be awesome as well. And I think also offer, for example, HQS many opportunities. You know, if you can sense something better, you want to simulate it better, you want to kind of understand it better, and move like the whole field forward. And so this combination of quantum computing and quantum sensing that we have in Baden-Württemberg is really great. And Quantum BW is organizing meetings and trips, which helps to connect all of this to the kind of international community.
And I heard that Quantum BW is organizing Quantum Effects in Stuttgart in
Also
October,
true.
and I'm sure they advertise it on their stand upstairs. This is actually quite similar from Les Maisons du Quantique, from the hubs, which are also taking place in France. Do you see any, so might not be the right person to engage on that, but do you see any possibilities for these regional hubs also to stimulate this international cooperation beyond the French-German cooperation?
I hope so, but yes, I'm maybe not the person to give full statements on the interest of Quantum BW, so please, everybody who wants to learn more, I think they're very happy if you visit the booth upstairs.
That was a very difficult question. Thomas, Manfred, do you want to comment on these regional aspects of Germany?
I think we both have a similar, but let me just start and then I hand over. Let's hand over. So if you draw a PowerPoint presentation, you start always with I am in the middle and everything is around. So this is true for every lender, for every country, for every what have you. And I think this is okay, because everybody thinks it's the only thing I can influence is myself, so therefore I put myself in the middle and just reach out. If I'm a global company, we are a global company, I don't care if it's Baden-Württemberg, if it's Paris, if it's Dubai, I just don't care. And I think it's sometimes very good to be on site. So I'm in Heidelberg, I like the Heidelberg ecosystem. It's good to be in Baden-Württemberg and networked, yes. So I think it's good to build these local clusters, but then it's time to move on and connect between these clusters. And I think sometimes we have too many connectors because everybody wants to connect, and then I have a network of connected networks, and I just say, now we have this conference, you get a bit lost. And I think that's just a challenge to orchestrate this. So I think, long story short, I endorse these local setups for local community, and I endorse the global play, but I think we can improve in not trying to overdo it with synchronization, but at the same time not forget synchronization. I think that's it. Manfred.
It's a very diplomatic answer. So Deutsche Bahn is across the world. I think 340,000 employees, 270 companies worldwide. It's not only Germany, but we are connecting with SNCF, for example, because these are two large rail companies pushing the railway sector in Europe. And when we look in which competition we are in this quantum stuff and in this PQC stuff, it's not only Europe, but it's the West and the East side, and we don't know how they proceed in the next future. We learned some minutes ago about some million qubits within the next 5 years. I have no clue where it goes, but what we have in Germany at the moment is we have the land, we have the Bavarian guys, we have Hamburg, we have Saxony, we have let's say a spread world. The same we have in the US. The US is not only localized on one center, it's the same issue they have. And what we are going now to look at is at a common roadmap for Europe. A roadmap for Germany, for France, for including the UK, hopefully, to work along a common roadmap, because the next QUBO for the next optimization problem doesn't help us, as I said already. And we are not so far that we moved quantum already in the industrial level that we can use it from an industrial perspective. It's still in the move from research to industries, but this move needs to be supported from a roadmap to avoid that everybody is doing the same, and that we have invested not only money, but on the other hand, human resources, the people, our brain in Europe, on the same topic several times. And this is what we are doing in QUIC in this European consortium at the moment. We build up this roadmap and we try to recommend the European Commission which way we want to go, and hopefully the German and the French guys are supporting this as well.
Thank you. This brings me to the last question. We said we would not speak about politics, but indeed we have to. So we need to move Europe forward. We need to move European sovereignty forward. We know how much it's at risk. I mean, it's not a coincidence that the Minister of Defense is closing the session today. So you mentioned QUIC. What are the European leverages that can support the industry in the adoption and in the co-design of quantum technologies, so that we do not lose the race, because this is what it has at stake?
The answer in 60 seconds. Wait a second. It's the golden question. It's really the golden question we have at the moment. I think we convinced politics and some of industry, some of the management in industry, especially the CEOs, that quantum is not only one of the new PowerPoints, it really exists. I think this is what we did over the last 4 years now. And what we need to do the next time is to convince management, politics on a local basis and on the EU level to go for the next investment step to get this quantum system up and alive. I think this is the only option, and not putting billions of euros in it, because when you see, for example, we have some startups, one in Australia, for example, it is funded with 900 million euros. Nobody knows what's behind it. It's not the money, it's the quality of people who's changing the game. And as we are able to keep the very high level people in Europe and keep them, let's say, motivated to play the game, then I think we can win the race.
Yeah, people, very important. Michael, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, I just want to say that we should also sometimes, we should of course also trust, in the market or the private enterprise. And just for that, I just want to point out that trying to not build barriers within Europe, for example, through dual-use regulations or similar, would, I think, be extremely helpful also to kind of keep the field going by itself without anybody having actually to do much from the governmental side.
Thomas, before I give you the floor for the concluding words, take the opportunity. They are here. We also have German people up. Take the opportunity, speak to them, and try to build up this Europe. Thomas, final words.
A crucial point is education, and in France, French is very good for doing comics, bande dessinée, and there is a very good comic I've bought myself in vacation, who explaining quantum, the world of quantum in a comic. It's fun to read, and I think this is what we can leverage. So let's say the German concreteness, Deutsche Beton and tout ça. And then we have the French creativity with the comics, and then really do education on quantum for kids, because that's where we need to think. And I mean, by convincing people that it's important, I mean, yeah, they don't own the problem. And if you own the problem because you have played with it, I think that might be a good way forward. My approach.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.